Hello, my name is Adrian Ramey. I'm the Chief Executive of the British Training Board. I'm here today just to tell you a little bit about myself. I left the Army in 2012 after doing a full 22-year military career within the Royal Logistic Corps. I left the Army thinking that I was going to get a job straight away and that all my military qualifications would be transferred straight away into civilian ones. However, I quickly realised that the civilian market doesn't actually realise what we do as soldiers in the Army. They think we just fire guns and do weapons and that sort of stuff. So my story begins. I got a job as a training manager while I was doing my 3 months resettlement, work experience in a call centre. I did really well at that position. I got to the end of my 3 months probation and they offered me a job. However, the problem was I didn't have a recognised civilian teaching qualification. So, I tried to explain to them that I'd done the skill at arms course. I was a weapons instructor. I was a NBC instructor, CBR instructor, map reading instructor. I taught recruits. None of that made any difference because I didn't have, I think, the level 3 in education and training at the time. So what I had to do then was go back to where I needed to be and find out if the Army could transfer my qualifications across. At that time they couldn't. So I then spent the next 2 years finding out exactly how I would transfer military qualifications into civilian ones. And we launched the British Training Board in October 2014. What I did was I left my resettlement right until the last minute. I didn't realise that I could get the Army, as it was, to pay for all my qualifications using my standard learning credits and of course my enhanced learning credits. So what I'd like to say today is to make sure that you don't end up in the same position that I was back in 2012, is to make sure you plan for the future. And that's what the British Training Board can do for you. We can plan to make sure that you get into a position where the employer recognises your military qualifications. We can do that by using our skills translator service. Okay, we're here this morning with Alex Jones, who's just completing his skills translator with the British Training Board. I was going to ask him a few questions for a little bit of a video testimonial. First of all, Alex, how long were you in the Army and what was your job?
Well, I joined the Army straight after school when I was 18 in 2003, and I left March this year, 2014, so 11 years altogether. I started off as a private soldier, infantryman within a rifle platoon. I was doing that for 3 years, then I transferred across to Recce platoon. I was in Recce platoon for 6 years as a junior commander, section 2IC, before transferring across to motor platoon, where I was a Bravo MFC to begin with, and then did my courses Alpha MFC and finished off as a platoon sergeant.
Okay, great. So what job were you doing when you left the Army then?
I left the Army, I was a security guard to start with, which I didn't really enjoy, to be honest.
Okay, so how did you hear about the military skills translator?
Well, I knew I had my ELCs available. I wasn't sure what to do with them really, so I was on the ELC website looking for ELC training providers within my local area. I come across the Arctic website, popped in, had a chat with the guys about what sort of courses and that I could use with my ELC, and they recommended the military translator trainer course to me, and went from there really.
Okay, so now you've started it, what sort of qualifications have you transferred across?
Well, everything really. All my range qualifications that I earned in the Army, they've been transferred across to sort of project management qualifications. My instructor qualifications have been translated across to education, training, civilian education and training qualifications, and assessor qualifications. So everything really, from what the skills I've learned through my ranks in the Army. Okay,
great. So now you've gone through the process, how are your job prospects looking now?
A hell of a lot better. I mean, before I came out of the Army, all the qualifications I had weren't really relevant within the civilian world, which I thought anyway. My range qualifications, like I said, have been transferred to project management qualifications and stuff like that. yeah, so you know, all stuff like that is all good. My instructor and assessor qualifications have been transferred across to civilian qualifications, and you know, I've now got a job as a trainer with Arctic as well. So
Okay, fantastic. Would you recommend the skills translator to anybody else?
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, anybody leaving the army in the same situation that I was in, a little bit lost, pop down, you know, see the guys, and definitely do get your transfer across through the military military skills transferring course, and yeah, I already have recommended it. So
Okay, that's great. Brilliant. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon. We've got Kev Hilton with us, who's just finished his second week of the mapping course and with the British Training Board through Arctic Training Services. Have you enjoyed your time with Arctic Training, Kev?
I certainly have. It's been an enjoyable course, interesting, learnt a lot.
Have you benefited from the course at all?
Certainly have, yeah. All the information that's gained as well, it's been beneficial.
Excellent. What were the highlights, if any?
It's learning, obviously, stuff that you didn't know about, that you do know now, that makes you more aware of what's going on around.
Yeah, cool. Did the course deliver on your expectations at all?
Yeah, more than my expectations.
Fantastic. Would you recommend the course and the process that we've put you through to other
Certainly
people?
would. It's not advertised enough, and I don't think the guys out there really understand what benefits this could bring them, and mapping their army qualifications across to their civilian qualifications.
Because you picked up quite a few from what we've done as well. haven't you?
Definitely. You know,
Okay.
and obviously with using my learning credits, you know, allowed me to do what you would think, Christ, is going to cost me a fortune. You know, matter of fact, saved me a lot of money, but give me qualifications for civilian street.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Kev. What would you change about the course, if anything?
Nothing. I think, you know, it's more than adequate for what you're providing, shall we say.
Yeah. Would you use our services and what we do
Certainly
in
would
the future?
do. Yeah,
And
I
you'd
certainly-
recommend us?
I would recommend you to any serviceman that was leaving.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Kev. Much
Yeah.
appreciated. Okay, we've got Martin Shaw, just completed his 2-week training and mapping course. Have you enjoyed the time with Arctic Training?
Yeah, thoroughly. It's obviously, I was a little bit worried to start with of what it would involve, but as the week progressed, everything became more clear. Really enjoyed it.
Cool. Have you benefited at all from being on the course?
Massively, it's taught me what direction I want to go in as a civilian, whereas before I was a little bit confused and the CTW didn't give me any direction, whereas Arctic have.
Okay, brilliant, thanks for that. What have been the highlights to you in the 2 weeks?
The amount of information and the qualifications and looking at the way civilians learn, whereas before I didn't sort of understand how civilians react in the classroom, but now being in with them I do.
Brilliant. Did the course deliver on your expectations?
It far exceeded my expectations. Delivering all the qualifications that I've mapped across now are far more employable and in myself feel more valuable to an employer.
Okay, would you recommend the course and the process to anybody else?
Yeah, massively.
Great. If there was anything that you wanted us to change about the course or how we run it, is there anything in particular you think we should change?
No.
Would you use this in the future?
Yes. Yeah,
Brilliant.
I will.
Okay, thanks for that, Martin. Much appreciated.